privilege of serving as mayor. I don't want to be presumptuous. I forgot to introduce myself a couple of weeks ago, and somebody said, "Who are you?" Yeah. So I take that, I'm okay with that. So we like to kick off every meeting with a pule. Tonight, though, we have someone very special to do it. Our head of our Royal Hawaiian Band, which is a precious entity unto itself, something we're very proud of, is a man named Clark Bright. And Clark's going to come up here in a moment, but for those of you from this area, probably realize, and I think Clark has become a legend of himself, but Clark is truly the son of a legend because his father taught here for more than 30 years. And I asked him to talk about his father's accomplishments, but you know, you talk about an incredible lineage of serving the community musically. That's what this man represents. I think it's, not only is it unique that we have the Royal Hawaiian Band, I don't think any other municipality has anything like it, but they are the hardest working band. They play over 300 dates a year, more than that. I think I'm probably underestimating. They're just everywhere all the time, and they do it so well. So without any further ado, where is Clark? Right up here. Okay.
Well, certainly an honor to be here. Have any of you heard of that name, Ronald Bright, before? Oh, a lot of nods, yeah. I hope he's hearing that applause right now. He left us, he passed away about 10 years ago, but he certainly left a legacy, I think, for all the youth and the community at large. And I kind of grew up around here, running around when I was young, because we'd always be here for his shows, and then I became a part of them, conducting his orchestras for many years. But he had a short little philosophy that he lived by, and that was simply to love, to trust, to care, and to guide. And when he retired in 1993, we put those words on a mug that we gave to everybody who attended his retirement. And it's a legacy that we strive to live by as well. He dedicated his life to service to others, both here and the community at large. And his calling is very, very similar to the dedicated professionals we see right behind me. You here as well hold that same calling, I believe, because you're here and you want to make this place a better place to be in. So with all of that tonight, with those words in mind, can we bow our heads in prayer for this evening's town hall? Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight and thank you for being the example of service to others. We ask you to guide us through this town hall tonight. Help us to be cordial in questions and answers. Help us to keep what's best for the community ahead of our own personal agenda as we come together to love, to trust, to care, and to guide our community to a best community it can possibly be. We thank you so much. In his name we pray. Amen. Amen. So before I hand the mic back over to Mayor, can you do one thing for me? Take 15 seconds and welcome the person next to you and tell them, isn't the Windward side beautiful? Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, well, here we go. So, I want to recognize a couple of people that I think are here. One, Senator Brenton Oʻahu just walked in the room. Brenton, welcome. Thank you for being here. We have somebody I think is extraordinarily special and someone that you should all be proud of because she's sitting right in front of me. I would say the one and only, the incomparable Councilwoman Esther Kiaina. We are well-deserved, and we have one member of our Youth Commission, Dominic Bonifacio. Okay. And is there another elected official in the room that I don't see? I'm pretty good at scanning a crowd, but I don't see one. Although I do see some familiar faces tonight, and all the more I'm grateful that you're here. All right, so the men and women behind me whom you're about to meet are the senior members of our team. They're a cabinet. This is a group. Not all of them are here tonight, but the representative from each department is here. And we do this purposely And I'll talk about that after we make the introductions, because we want to bring a level of expertise far beyond my knowledge, certainly, that can maybe address any and all problems. And we'll talk about that tonight, or concerns, and so that you can hear from us specifically and with the kind of intelligence and respect that we want to show you based on the questions you ask. And hopefully you'll feel when you leave here 2 hours from now that this was worth your time, okay? That said, I want to start off with the man behind me, Mike Formby, who's the managing director. I'm going to let him kick it off, but I have to tell you, as mayor, first of all of these people behind me report to the managing director. So this is the unsung hero of our team, and he's just an absolutely brilliant man, and I never do justice to it in his interview. And this is the first time I've ever done this. Usually I just give him the mic. But Mike deserves a bit of a shout out, because my dependency on him as mayor is kind of off the charts. He's not only bright, but he is incredibly resourceful and a great colleague to work with. So I'll have Mike start it off. They'll introduce him, and I'll come back, tell you, we just got a couple of ground rules. We're not a whole lot, but how we like to conduct these, and then we'll go from there. So Michael, where are you? I'll give you my microphone.
Good evening, everyone. Mike Formby, Managing Director. It's great to be here. Had a chance to go out and talk to a lot of you, and some of you connected on issues that you brought up last year and we didn't solve. And I appreciate you reminding me about those issues, but it's great to be here. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Krishna Jairam. I'm the Deputy Managing Director. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Aloha, everyone. My name's Andy Sugg, and I'm the Mayor's Chief of Staff, and it's great to see you all here, and thank you for coming.
Aloha. I'm Brian McKee. I'm the Director of the Information Technology Department and the Chief Information Officer of the city. So here to answer any technical or software or any kind of networking issues. So thanks.
Good evening. My name is Nola Miyasaki. I'm the Director of the Department of Human Resources, and it's my privilege to manage the more than 10,000 talented workforce we have across the entire island. But tonight we're recruiting. We brought a lot of information. I have my top recruiter here, Darcy. So we'll be here after the townhouse. Please come and see us if you're interested and you want to hear about our opportunities. Thank you.
Aloha, my name's Kurt Lager. I am the director for the Honolulu Ocean Safety Department, and we are the primary responders to all 227 miles of the coastline. Thank you for having us here.
Aloha, everyone. I'm Kevin Auger. I'm the director designate of the city's newest department, the Department of Housing and Land Management. Our department's 5 days old, and we're responsible for facilitating and accelerating the delivery of affordable housing on Oahu. Thanks very much for being here.
Aloha and good evening, everybody. I am Ted Hayden. I am the Deputy Director for Parks and Recreation. So we oversee all of the parks, as well as the beach parks and right-of-ways, as well as our Department of Urban Forestry, so that's all of our street trees. So thanks for having us.
Aloha, everyone. My name is Lloyd Yonenaka. I am the Executive Secretary for the Neighborhood Boards. We oversee all of the boards, including Kāne and Kailua and Kahalu'u, and et cetera. We have a few neighborhood board members here. If you could raise your hand. Neighborhood board members? All right. More than that. Thank you. Thank you very much for your service.
Aloha, I'm Kathleen Pahinui, the Public Information Officer for the Board of Water Supply. Mahalo.
Met you earlier, Clark Bright, Bandmaster of the Royal Hawaiian Band, and we really aim to enrich the lives of the people of Hawaii.
Aloha and good evening. I'm Kalani Hao, Fire Chief of the Honolulu Fire Department. Thank you for allowing us to be here.
Aloha mai kako, John Nouchi, Deputy Director, Department of Transportation Services. Thank you for having us here tonight. Grew up in Kahalu'u, Waimānalo, and Kailua. So I love this side of the island. I love the rain more than the sun. My department does planning and engineering of streets, as well as oversees transit, parking, and traffic signals for the city.
Good evening. My name is Megan Johnson. I'm the Deputy Director for the Department of Customer Services. Our department oversees 3 divisions: the satellite city halls, the Public Communications Division, and the Division of Motor Vehicles. Thank you for having us.
Aloha everyone, I'm Valea Constantino. I run the Honolulu Film Office, which deals with the marketing and logistics for our film industry.
Aloha everybody, my name is Kira Shushom. I'm the Chief Data Officer and I actually work for everybody here on this side to better our services, streamline our data for everyone. Thank you.
Aloha everyone, my name is Jordana Ferrer, the Child Care Coordinator for the city. We're working hard to build more affordable child care opportunities for our youngest keiki and our hardworking families across the island. Thank you for having us.
Aloha, my name is Amy Osselby, and I'm the Director of the Office of Economic Revitalization. A couple members of our team, Denise and Caroline, are right over there at the table with the blue table cover, and they have a whole bunch of information for you for anyone who has a business, needs some help, or is interested in starting a business. We're going to kick off our first idea to business incubator, and so you can get information about how to register to join the first cohort and also sign up for a small business newsletter with lots of grants and other information. Thanks for having us tonight.
Aloha, Robert Harder from the Department of Emergency Management. Yes, we are the ones that oftentimes set off the sirens. Our table is right over there asking you to sign up for H&L Alert, the new notification system that'll come across your phone and your other devices. And just a reminder, hurricane season starts the 1st of June.
Aloha, my name is Jim Ireland. I'm the director of the Honolulu Emergency Services Department. So their management, we're services, and Honolulu Emergency Services Department is EMS, the ambulances and paramedics, as well as CORE, the crisis outreach teams that deal and assist the homeless. Thank you.
Aloha, Mike O'Keefe with the Honolulu Authority for Rapid Transit, or HART. Thank you for having us tonight.
Good evening, I'm Dan Brick, Department of Environmental Services, Deputy Director, and we oversee cities' treatment plants, wastewater treatment plants, pump stations, collection system, and also refuse collection and refuse facilities. Thank you.
Hello and good evening. I'm Edward Los Baños. I'm the Deputy Director for the Department of Community Services. We do the human services grants for our vulnerable populations, everything from Kehiru to Kupuna.
Good evening, my name is Brian Gallagher. I'm the Deputy Director for the city's Department of Planning and Permitting. That's long-range planning, zoning, land use, building permits, inspections. Thank you.
Aloha, good evening. I am Warren Mamizuka. I'm the Deputy Director for the Department of Facility Maintenance. Thank you for having us.
How's it? My name is Haku Millis. I'm the Director for the Department of Design and Construction. We oversee the capital improvement program for various city agencies and departments. Thank you all for being here.
Aloha, I'm Joe Logan. I'm the Chief of the Honolulu Police Department. I have the honor and privilege of leading the 2,000 men and women of the Honolulu Police Department. I also grew up on the Windward side. I went to King Intermediate back in 8th and 9th grade, and some of you might say King Intermediate never had 9th grade. Yes, it did in 1974 and 3, for those of us old enough who have gone that far back. I didn't come to Castle High School. I went back over the mountain to Waialae to go to St. Louis High School, but my heart is still on the Windward side, so thank you all for being here tonight.
Good afternoon, my name is Randall Platt. I'm the HPD Major of District 4, which covers the entire Windward side of Oahu. I do want to point out my community policing team is in the back there with a table set up with pamphlets, so please go and visit them.
Good evening, my name is Dita Hollyfield. I'm the Director of Enterprise Services. I have the fun job of the city. I get to run the Honolulu Zoo, 6 golf courses, and all of the venues, the Blaisdell, the Waikiki Shell, the concert hall. Also in my purview, I have some of the concessions that serve our community and the people of Hawaii. And I'm so pleased to be here. I've lived in Kaneohe for 26 years. Yeah.
Who's going to top that? I don't know. So my name is Ben Sullivan. I'm the Chief Resilience Officer of the Mayor's Office of Climate Change, Sustainability, and Resiliency. Our office works with all these great folks to make your communities more resilient to climate change. There's a table right over here with one of our wonderful staff who would love to share a little bit about our current climate action plan update that's going on, as well as some other things, so please visit them. And thank you for being here tonight.
Good evening, aloha. I am Andy Kawano, the Director of Budget and Fiscal Services. Some of the things we do in front of all of you include working with you on your real property taxes and for vendors, working with you on contracts. So thank you very much. Look forward to talking to you.
All right, so there you have it. A lot of talent, a lot of capability, huge commitment. I'm very proud of these men and women. And as you heard, some deputies are here tonight, directors if they rotate through. But the overall team that we have, I can tell you right now, so we just got through the introduction, is really good. And you have every reason to expect a lot of good things over the next 3 years and 8 months. I think, and I'm proud of what we got done in the first term. But that term, that whole thing, first we started out in COVID, which was not easy. We did a lot of planning to understand the problems we wanted to solve, and they were complex problems. In housing, as you heard, we just got the department put together the capability. City hasn't had a capability since 1998 in housing. Things that we've done, things we're doing with the homeless, fixing DP, it can go on and on. We'll get into that. I just want to tell you that I now know this team. 4 years ago, we were strangers. I know what they're capable of. And I'm going to tell you right now, you can count on a lot of good things happening. So that said, they came tonight because we want to answer as many different questions as possible. So this is sort of the ground rules, okay? One, first of all, if you're here tonight, it tells me you're passionate about this community. You care enough to want to come and spend a couple of hours. We respect that. We also respect the frustration, perhaps, that you might have over an existing problem that you might want to talk about an event. We understand that as well. All I ask is that we be civil to each other, you be civil to us, and we're going to be civil back to you, but let's not make it unfair, okay? So I ask for that. I also, in the spirit of wanting to answer as many different questions, as you come up to the microphone, we want you to ask your question as soon as possible. I don't want to be rude to anybody, but no speeches, okay? So you can set a little bit of context, because that could be helpful, but I reserve the right to say, what is your question? Without being rude, but we want to try to get through as much as we can. The other thing is, we don't want to beat a topic to death, okay? So I think once we've discussed a topic, and we feel like we've done it with sufficiency, okay, I want to move on to the next. So, and this is stuff you learn when you've done 27 of them. And we try to make it as worthwhile for you as we possibly can. It's a great resource. And you know what? I can promise you this too. Not everything will be able to be answered tonight. They do a great job at following up, establishing personal contact, getting you communication, and being able to do that. The other thing that I would ask, and especially because we're on live TV, but also given the dynamics of the room, is we don't form a line here. We'll get to everybody, one person at a time, you know, and then after that person goes down, the next person comes up, we'll keep it orderly. But we just don't want one of these long lines at the back. It's no fun to stand in that, but it also cuts off the point of view, okay? So with that, the other thing that I hope that you'll appreciate, you can ask us anything that you want. There's no filter here, okay? The only thing I reserve to tell you is you may not like what you hear, okay? Because we didn't come here to pander. We're going to come here to tell you the truth. We're going to come here to tell you that if there's something you're saying that we can't accommodate, or maybe perhaps we disagree, or it's just going to be different because it's going to be different, we'll share that with you, okay? But by the same token, actually the reason why we do these is so we can better serve you and help you. So we come from a positive place of learning about the problems. I've told this group repeatedly throughout all of our town halls, and some of them I don't think have ever been asked a question given their areas of expertise, okay? That said, it's still good for them to be here as we go around the island, hearing the different concerns and the common denominators, as I said earlier. It's good for us because we don't want to operate in an urban-centric environment at Honolulu Hale thinking we have all the answers, okay? So this is what this is about. It's a great exchange tonight, so let's just kick it off, and who wants to come up first? Come on up. I just ask that you identify yourself when everybody comes up, your name and...
Hello, can you hear me, everybody? I'm Mike Renda, I'm a retired Naval Chief Petty Officer. Thank you for coming here. I know that you're on your second hitch here, but you didn't have to do this, and we really appreciate it as the people, so.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mike.
You're my favorite. Yeah, so I had to go on a little bit of journey. My house got flooded in 2018 by a construction project above my house. It was very bad thing to happen. Now, because I was in the Navy, I was used to doing flooding, but I did have to go to the fire department to get help to unflood my house. A couple of things that happened that were really disturbing to me was that when I called for help, I got bad answers. And the first answer I got was where somebody told somebody, the developer, that I called on them. And that developer came and threatened me. And that wasn't cool. But I have a really good patience level. So I just let it slide, you know, and moved on. Then they replaced a couple inspectors. And then the third young inspector that was on there said that his boss said he was a liar and that my place never got flooded. And then I was like, that's not true, put your supervisor on the phone. So I went through this long process and wound up kind of trying to take care of it myself, which I couldn't. And then eventually another extension got built after 3 mega homes got built, and I had been flooded multiple times. And I wound up reaching out to Scott Matayoshi, Esther Kiahaina, who's sitting behind me, and I'm going to say it in a very professional way. I don't know, maybe there was some missteps in there, or maybe something got lost and I didn't get seen or heard or whatnot, but I did find out that there's a breakdown in communication between the different branches of our local government that I'd like to see changed in the future. And
so Mike, what is the question?
So the question is can we change the rules for the future so that when you build in Kaneohe, you have to have an actual drainage plan, for one. Two, that our elected officials that we elect can actually hear us like this, which is nice. And three, that we can actually make those improvements happen so that everybody in Kaneohe that's close to the rainy side doesn't have to deal with that again, because that was pretty painful.
Got it, Mike. Okay.
And he just came to my house.
Brian did?
Brian came to my house, we walked through, so he's seen it. So again, I want to say thank you and end on a positive note that, Mayor, I love you. You're one of those guys that really looks out for the people, and you really do what you say you do.
Thank you, Mike. Did you come a couple years ago with a baseball bat?
I did.
I remember you.
I did.
And I remember thinking, this guy's going to come here and beat my brains out with this bat.
No.
But you did, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, you know, last time I used the question for everybody else because there was a creeper chasing my female neighbors at 3 in the morning.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm a good guy, and I'm going to look out for my neighbors if I have to.
Okay.
And, you know, I called the cops and everything.
Good question. Let's take it to Brian. Go ahead. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. So Mike has been reaching out to the city for a while for help. He bought a property probably about 10 years ago, and then it was basically pretty much at a pretty wide open lot. There was one house on there, but it was a large lot, and then years later, a developer came in and added 4 more houses, 3 more houses. And, yeah, so extend another one. So it's a major difference for Mike and his property, what he's used to seeing. How many of you actually live in Kaneohe? Your property, the drainage doesn't go to the road, but it actually goes to the back of your lot. Raise your hand. There are a fair number of them around here, especially the back of Benjamin Park Elementary, and Mike's on the Malka side of Cam Highway there, where both of those, the way it was originally developed in the natural topography where it doesn't go to the road, all the lots. So when you get that, the drainage will come from, and normally everybody's lot, you'll get drainage that naturally from rainfall, you can't control. It will go from the next lot to the next lot. Mike has a specific situation that we are investigating, and we're trying to help him out with, and we're looking at what DPP reviewed, what did we approve, what was actually constructed, and what are some other solutions that we can work on for situations like this. The drainage system that's in the back of all these lots, it is private, it is not city, but we know a lot of people in this area, and not just in Kaneohe, there's other parts of the island that deal with it as well. A lot of times in older developments, there's a lot of things that aren't perfect, but there are changes that are made through developments, and we're going to look into that, and we're going to try and get you some kind of relief. We're not sure where we are right now, but Mike, we're definitely going to try.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Young lady?
Hi, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Mayor. About a year ago, my name is Malia Espinda.
Hi, Malia.
Hi. About a year ago, you were on the Rick Hamada show. And yes, I listened to that show. And I heard you, Mayor, say to Rick that in about 10 years, the landfill would be at the Ameren site.
No,
and
I didn't
hold
say
on, no, you did say that. That was exactly what you said. Hold on, Mr. Formby. And there was, I know that because last year I asked the same question and you jumped.
No, but I know that I never said that because I know how we position the Ameren site, but that's okay. I don't want to be argumentative.
No,
I know how I know exactly how we position that, but go ahead.
So, and also there's a former high-level positioned individual who once said to me, there's a perfectly good hole over there in Kailua for the next dump. So now what we see in the legislature is a number of measures. I am a Kailua girl. I was born and raised, and I know exactly that we've had many dumps in Kailua. I know the smell and the impact to that community, and if that Ameren perfectly good hole becomes the next site, the shift of smell would come towards Kaneohe. I can see Mr. Formby chomping at the bit. So I need to ask, because of everything, and I understand the dynamics of all of the challenges that we have with landfill, but Kailua and Kaneohe has done their part. And how are we protecting this area?
We'll be happy to answer that. And I'm just going to tell you, if I ever get misquoted, I'm going to tell you I'm being misquoted. If I've said something, I'll stand by it. But Ameren was never an immediate issue. We never said in 10 years it would be there because we were faced with the challenge of coming up with a landfill before 2028. Okay? Anyway, Michael, why don't you answer that?
Yeah, I want to say something. And by the way, I don't chomp at the bit. It's not my nature to do that. But Mayor and I had 2 meetings with Ameren to explore whether or not there was even the possibility of the city condemning or acquiring that property, and the answer was no. And then we spent a lot of time with Councilmember Kia Aina talking about her concerns. And so we had to disclose it as an option because it is an option, but it was never considered a viable option. We never even got to the point of talking about what a price would be and was it something we could afford. We knew that at the bottom of the Ameren quarry is a water pit that is very difficult for the quarry to get out of the pit. EPA controls that. So there's many reasons that Mayor and I never said that that would be the next landfill. And anybody that says that is misquoting both of us. We're looking at options, and the option that appears to be most favorable is to go for an extension of the existing Waimānalo Gulch sanitary landfill. And we haven't even made that decision yet, but now that we can't put it over the aquifer, we are going to make a decision that's in the best interest of all communities on Oahu.
I want to talk a little bit more about that so you can rest assured on this side of the island. Now, are you going to walk out? I hope you don't. Good. All right, so I don't think there's anything, surprisingly, given all the things we've dealt with, that we put more due diligence into the landfill challenge. You know, this is something that, quite honestly, should have been handled years and years ago. We come into office in January 21, like I said earlier, right in the middle of the pandemic, and we went to work on that right away. We established a landfill advisory committee, and we asked them to examine sites around the island because we knew the clock was ticking. And then, however many months later, near Christmas in 2021, Red Hill happened. And Red Hill was a seminal moment. It changed all the conversation about the VIA. It changed everything from the standpoint of how people would look at the potential of having another landfill over an aquifer, because for some reason, which I actually don't believe, Waimānalo Gulch is not over an aquifer. I have a hard time when you look at the maps of Oahu believing that, but it's been there for 35 years. At the same time, we made a promise to the people on the west side that we would not put the next landfill out there. We would not take the path of least resistance, even though there's capacity to 2035, we have to vacate by 28, And even though on the Mulca side, you could build further. But when Red Hill happened, that landfill advisory committee came back to us and said, we examined 6 sites, we're gonna not recommend one of them, okay? They graded them, but we're not gonna recommend one. And at that point, we were saying that all over an aquifer. That just was no recommendation. That said, we immediately went to the Navy because they were looking for a make good. They were looking to try to do something to help with all the bad PR and everything. And Mike and I were afforded opportunities at the highest level. At that time, Admiral Agolino, who was the head of Indo-PACOM, and Admiral Paparo, who is now and General Charlie Flynn. We had the attention of everybody in the military, and we exhausted a 2-year study at looking at alternatives. And at one point, we thought we could get Waipio Peninsula. But that would mean we'd have to take the soccer fields and relocate them, really rebuild an entire complex, because we know how widely used they are, how vital those fields have been for so many people, youngsters, older, everybody out there. And so we made a deal with the Navy for 420 acres, was it, Lee? That was lying around for 26 years. And within that, we thought we could build the soccer fields out there, only to learn that the Navy, and believe me, I'm not at liberty to say some things that Mike and I got to hear, but for national security purposes, we couldn't get Waipio. We then, knowing full well that the ledge was saying they were going to pass a bill, which they now have, that nobody could build over an aquifer, had to pick one of those 6 sites. And we picked Wahiawa, not Amron. No, it wasn't even, we stopped talking about Amron. So I'm telling you right now that we knew, as Mike said, definitively wasn't going to go there. We picked Wahiawa, and we went out and had a couple of town halls out there, and obviously it was pushback. We picked Wahiawa because that particular site is 800 feet over an aquifer. And all of you live with today's modern technology. It's all around us, right? And so I have to believe that people believe in that. I know Brian McKee's here, he could talk about the world that we live in. But we really felt that we could build a site there, that we would double line it, we would make it like a hazardous waste site, not just a landfill waste site, okay? And by the way, I heard what you said about the smell. Those were the dumps of yesterday year when I grew up as a kid. 95% of what goes to Waimānalo Gulch is ash. There's no smell. If I took you out there, you'd say, where's the landfill? But that said, okay, we picked that site. We knew we were going to be in for a challenge. But to give you a perspective on that, old technology, 35 years ago, Waimānalo Gulch, no leak. Today's technology, what we were going to do, and with the pumps we were going to employ for even the rainwater, it would have been perfectly safe. Perfectly safe. But there's a heightened sensitivity, and now there's a law passed that says we can't do anything. If you looked at a map of this island, that means you can't really go anywhere other than to be at Waimānalo Gulch, which right now, as Mike said, I don't feel really good about that. I know we're not reneging on a promise to the west side. We really felt we were going to do the right thing by moving to central Oahu. It would have been safe. Just so you know, Red Hill, when it was built in the 40s, pretty amazing, 24 tanks. If you've ever been down there to see that complex, each one is the size of the Statue of Liberty. That's how big they are. It is really hard to believe that they could build that in the 40s with that technology in those years during wartime in the side of a mountain, okay? That was only 100 feet over an aquifer, and they were single-hulled. And at some point, I guess it was destined to be that something like what happened, even though they were carefully maintained over the years, because they were all gravitational. That's how that fuel came down. So we've done everything we possibly could, and that's why I'm sensitive to the misquoting. We've been very careful, we've been very guarded. We've had conversations at the highest level about this with the deepest concern for the residents of this island. But you tell me what you would do. You tell me what you would do with 100 million tons that gets produced on this island. I mean, that's 2,000 pounds per person, okay? Tell me what you would do on average with all of that Opala. We've heard people say, bury it in your backyard. We've heard you can't do that. This is just one of those things we had to figure out, and we did the best we could, okay? So really sensitive about that. I was disappointed. I was hoping that we'd get a little bit of that they would buy into that technology, understanding the practicality of being island dwellers and what we were faced with, because everybody produces garbage, okay? And the fact that we wanted to have some social equity, if you will, and move it to a place. And let me tell you, and I know there's some people behind me that hate when I say this, because I know it was in the middle of the Doe fields, it was agricultural, we weren't gonna take up that much acreage. It was 150 acres, and they got thousands of acres out there, and it's not all producing food, believe me, okay? But if there was a place on this island that was remote, you could say, you could name it almost nowhere Oahu, it was that site, at 800 feet over an aquifer. So the science has been refuted. We're left to now figure out what we're gonna do at Waimānalo Gouch, and we're gonna figure that out, because we have to figure it out, okay? So is there any other questions about that?
Mayor, can I add one more thing, Mayor, real quick? Amaron is also not a viable site because it's in 1/2 mile of residences. So if you go on Google Map and you look down on the Amaron Quarry site and you do a 1/2 mile circumference from that site, there are homes within that site. So the legislature would have to have amended Act 73 this last session to reduce the 1/2 mile, which they did not. So we actually can't go to Amaron as a matter of law as well. So I just want you to know, for now, Amaron is not a viable site for the city and county, and it's not something that we've ever seriously looked at.
All right, hopefully that puts your fears aside on coming over here. Yes, ma'am.
I actually have 3 questions, but one of them has to do with the landfill site. Excuse me. This is Mahalani Seifer from Kaneohe. And I'm going to start with the 2 easier questions. The repaving that took place in Kaneohe about a few years ago when Caldwell was there, they missed several streets because there were water main projects. Kamehameha Highway between Haiku and Likiliki, Keahala Road, Paleka Road, and Anoi Road between Keahala and Paleka. So we want to ask that those roads be covered. I did have a good talk with Warren regarding, actually it was more of a loop, puka in the road, but it says, anyway, I emailed Warren, but I can,
okay.
If you could take care of the road issue.
Thank you for the question. So the stretch that you were talking about, Kamehameha Highway from Likelike to Haiku, that one is actually going to start later this year. Some of the other roads that you mentioned, Warren did mention to me before we started, I'd like to get the names of the roads so that we can check and work with DFM. I emailed them to Warren already. Okay, perfect. So for those of you who don't know, so we work very closely with Department of Facilities Maintenance when a road gets too far gone of patching, of sealing, and it needs to be rebuilt completely. That's when it comes to Department of Design and Construction, where we hire a consultant and work through the reconstruction of the road. And so that's what's going to happen for that stretch for Kamehameha Highway later this year. That's what happened a little bit further north on Kamehameha Highway as well. And so I'll get those roads from Warren, and we'll work on that. Thank you.
Thank you. I was talking to somebody earlier this evening about the grant application process for grants and aid from the city, and I wanted to tell you that we looked into it. I'm with a nonprofit called Kualoa Foundation, and we looked into it, and the application process, even for a small $5,000 grant, is so cumbersome. It's like applying for a federal grant. Nobody wants to do it. I mean, I don't know who applies for your grants, but there must be people who have accountants and lawyers that work for them, because small nonprofits won't take the time. It's really hard. So if you could look into how the grants are set up and maybe make them easier for the smaller grants. You know, nobody wants to write a federal grant for $5,000. That's ridiculous. Okay, the third one, which is the thing having to do with landfills. You have a charter commission with work coming up pretty soon. And a few years ago, in the last charter commission, I proposed to them that they do something about the landfill issue. No one wants a landfill in their neighborhood. Nobody, okay? It's just the way it is. Landfill's a thing of the past. So what I'm recommending is that you look into establishing a recycling center in each of the 6 moku on this island. There are 6 traditional mokus around Oahu. You put 1 recycling center in each area, and all you do is recycle as much as you can, and what you can't recycle goes to HPAR. I've talked with Sam Kakazu and others, and they said the technology does exist. So maybe if you could look into that as an option. because nobody wants a landfill.
We'll look
in
at
their
that as an
neighborhood.
option. We're actually looking at some other technology too. The problem is that some of this stuff is really expensive. We've looked at, what's happening around the world for best practices.
Right.
And what you run into is the countries subsidizing it. You talk about Japan or Sweden or some of the places, and we're Oʻahu, But we're determined to come up with something that's creative. But right now, this just happened. We're sort of in that
Right.
mode, okay?
Stuck.
And I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
look, I'd like to find a solution. I'd like to find a solution that works for everybody. And we thought we had. I'm telling you, we put so much time and energy into it. That's why it's frustrating for me.
Well, when we first thought of this, we thought of getting a pilot project set up in one of the 6 moku, getting federal money to do this pilot project to show that it can be done.
Yeah.
But right now, I don't think there's any federal money, so unfortunately.
Well, we can see, but we are looking at some stuff, and we have a little bit of time right now, and so we're going to try to be as creative as we can.
Because landfills, I think, are a thing of the past. We need to find a new way to
Well,
deal
they
with
are. I mean,
trash.
H-Power was the evolution, right? I said earlier, when I was a kid going to the dump, there would be seagulls flying around. You could smell it a mile away, and when you got there were rats bigger than the cats that were chasing them. That doesn't exist anymore. What we have at H-Power now, like I said, with Waimānalo, gosh, 95% of what we do goes there. It's all ash. So there isn't that. It just has to do with other things. So, but I appreciate it.
Mahalo, mahalo.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, you can come on up. There was something I was going to say, but go ahead. That's okay. Yeah, and then Don Schute's going to go first, and then you can come up, sir. You're right here. No, it's okay.
Okay. Aloha, Mayor.
Aloha.
My name is Kathleen Merriam, and I manage the mental health center here in Kaneohe, the Community Mental Health Center. I want to give my kudos to the police. The police on this side, if you haven't heard, are awesome, very responsive. I don't know anything about garbage and can't tell you what to do with the garbage and the bigger questions that were already asked. But I do know about people that eat out of the garbage, that feel like garbage, and are treated like garbage. I would like to discuss a little bit about homelessness and people with very severe mental illnesses and substance use issues. We recently instituted the Kauhale here on the Windward side, which is going very well. I hope that they can remain successful. There was a lot of community opinions that varied. It was kind of a rough start, but it's going very well. It's not enough. So there was the Joint Outreach Center. We all were there. Lots of people were there to celebrate and had a great party and opening. It's not there anymore. And I believe that I've heard different plans that it might come back. I'd like to hear the status because I think it's really needed. So that's my question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Who wants to take that?
Edward?
Homelessness. Okay, but to ask her to repeat questions. Sorry, can you repeat the question? So the GIA falls under me, so I was talking with the last person that came up.
The Joint Outreach Center was a program that was a partnership. It was here above the police station, and it stopped. And I was wondering if that's coming back, because I believe the city and county had a large part of it. And if that's not coming back, would there be possibly we have no homeless shelter on this side. So kind of like what is happening to help serve our population?
Okay. So the city's homeless strategy is to create as many creative ways to get people to engage the system, and once they're in the system, to keep them engaged in the system and on the road to recovery and become contributing citizens to society. So we're always looking for opportunities in different areas. We do recognize that this site has limited resources. We are looking for opportunities out here, and we will continue to look for them, but currently there's not any. Glad to take your information and meet with you and see if you have any ideas, including the Joint Operations Center like you talked about at HPD.
Sure.
Hi, I'll just add to that. My name is Jim Ireland. I run EMS in the CORE program. CORE is crisis outreach. It's community health workers and EMTs who engage people in the streets who have substance abuse, mental illness, homeless. Started in Chinatown, not done in Chinatown, but I feel reasonably successful there. The business owners tell me that the homelessness in Chinatown is down by 50% at least. We've branched out to
Jimmy, you gotta bring the microphone up.
we've branched out to Waikiki, Moilili, because you drive down King Street now, all our customers are still there. Not all, but I mean, so we know there's challenges everywhere. We're working right now with Councilmember Kia'aina's office to identify encampments and individuals that kind of look, quote, everybody knows over here. And so we're going to spend more time on Kailua. We're coming here now. But what we're finding is folks who need help, we're able to help them and want help, whether it's shelter, Kauhali, Honu, or the new medical respites. We right now have about 80 people in medical respites, and these are people with cancer, diabetes, mild mental illness, not severe. Substance abuse, we're using the Sand Island Treatment Center, but now we're starting to also use the Behavioral Health Crisis Center for people that need to be under a psychiatric hold, like, you can't leave until you're better. We don't have enough, and so I think partnering with the governor, the mayor and I and our team here and the police, we meet every Tuesday. It's the most frequent regular meeting I have at this high level just on homelessness. And the state's there, we're there, the nonprofits are there, and so that, as a matter of fact, you should come someday if you want to see what we do there. But that is the nucleus and how important this is, not only to the mayor, but also the governor, to get this done and address exactly what you need. And CORE will target people who we receive, I don't want to say complaints, but more calls of concern, because these folks are really ill. One fella who was living outside Castle Hospital for months, we were able to get him into one of the medical respites. And there's others too, but I know you folks who live here all know a lot of these people and see them, and we're actually going out and targeting them now, and humanely and with love bringing them in. But if we have to put them under a hold, if they're that unwell, we will. So thank you.
Thank you. We've been joined by Senator Jared Kailua. Jared, did I get that right, Jared? Almost. What? I close, huh? When you have Blangiardi, I'm so sensitive to last names. It's just a couple. Did I really? Keoho La Kolole. I'm sorry. I got the syllables right. I'm saying it wrong. Jared, I'm sorry. I'm glad you're here, man. That's okay. Thank you. Don.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Donald Sakamo, longtime Kailua resident, 1980 graduate of Castle High School. My question to you is, I met Anton Kraki, your community services director and deputy director, and Derek Arioshi in 2022 to bring the Mayor's Committee for Persons with Disabilities. I am blind, and the last time we had this committee was with Peter Carlisle. Try to get it back with Kirk Codwell. Had to wait, and now you came in. I just want to know, these committees are good for persons with disabilities to give input to you as well as your directors, that people with different disabilities can educate and improve the services for our city departments. The mayors from Kauai, Maui, and Big Island have these committees. I would like to urge you to consider in having this committee brought back, because we need a voice for the people. The ADA law was signed in July 26, 1990. We're going to celebrate 35 years for the ADA. So we need to do better for our people who are disabled, for the community, for the city, and to help you and your directors to know what's going on with the ADA with people with disabilities.
Don, I'm going to plead ignorant here in a sense, in that I thought we still had that committee, because I thought I remembered having a conversation with you in my office about the committee, and you're serving on the committee.
No, there's only one person that's on this Aging Elderly Affairs Committee that represents everybody, but that's the seniors. We have people that are not seniors, so and that person doesn't represent all disabled people. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're having a little bit of a discussion up here right now, Don, as to who, but I'm open to doing that. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that we're not. I actually thought we were.
Mayor, we'll connect with Don after this and make sure we understand and make sure we address his concerns.
Yeah.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Don. Thank you. Thank you. Ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sakamoto. And I'm from Kaneohe and the rest of the Kaneohe Neighborhood Board. Thank
and your
you
name?
to all of you. Rosie Gu.
Hi, Rosie.
I'm a resident of Kaneohe and a member of a small community, small neighborhood. And my question relates to a land use dilemma. We are state designated urban, city zoned R7.5 single-family residential. And my question is, how did the city's Department of Planning and Permitting approve a 19,000 square foot commercial apartment complex sized project, commercial, in a single family residential neighborhood? That's my specific question, and if you'll allow me, I'd like to give you some context.
Sure.
Okay, the subject property abuts the city's special management area. The subject property abuts a water channel that empties directly into Kaneohe Bay, which is Class AA water. We already have adverse impacts from stormwater, drainage issues, and flooding, with brown water and debris already going into the drains directly into everything that goes to the bay. The property is too small for on-site vehicles. The city says to prepare for 2 to 3 weeks of sheltering in place. So if this is going to be for elderly memory care residents who have to have sufficient water, food, medication, and no power because we are cut off from townside, as a community, we're saying size matters. And to the city's DPP, it appears it does not. So I have a separate, one last question is, how, during the permitting process, does the Department of Planning and Permitting arrive at the conclusion that neighbors whose concerns, you know, arguably it's our opinion, were ignored, largely ignored during the permitting process? How is it that DPP refuses to speak to us during the appeals process to the Zoning Board of Appeals?
I appreciate the question. I apologize. I'm not aware of the location or this project in particular, but yeah, can we simply get?
When was it approved?
It was approved, the application went in October of 2022, and by January 2023, a conditional use permit major for this
Okay.
facility.
Fine about it. This is the first I've heard of it.
2023, so 3 months.
Okay. Is Esther, you want to come up and talk about this? And by the way, Senator, to both of you guys, if anything you want to come up tonight, anything you want to weigh in on, please feel access to the floor. That's a great question, though. I can get the gravitas of that, and we want to find out about that, okay? Okay, no, you want?
It is, but I did, I prepped, you know, this, I was 100% certain that this was going to be raised tonight. So I just wanted to let you know, I prepped a memo flagging this. This is in Kaneohe Bay Drive. It is, so the Department of Planning and Permitting has certain discretionary authority that the City Council doesn't have. So with regard to the residents who are here, I am well familiar with the, not only with the granting of the conditional use permit, if I'm not mistaken, but also that it's in the appeals process. So I'm just a little baffled, and I understand DPP is in the corner talking to them, so I'm not going to talk about it at length. I'm just, I'm hopeful that they could have a dialogue on the side there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I didn't want to put you on the spot either, but we're trying to be as open and as transparent as we can be tonight, okay? Next, who's up? Come on up. Come on up. And then, yep.
Good evening, Mayor, and all the people that are here taking time out to help us.
Your name?
My name is Kailua Caldera.
Kailua.
I live in Kailua. I've been in Kailua for 40 years. I have to say that I'm a realtor, and the reason I'm saying this is not to advertise, but to be able to back up some of my what I'm saying. Okay, so my question is, for the Department of Permitting and Planning and Permitting, why is there no enforcement? Okay, especially with regards to things like parking, okay, and duplicate or multiple multiple homes on properties, okay? Because what happens is that, and I'll give you, it's all gonna go around like that, so I have to tell you the reason why. Okay, so on my street, all right, people are putting up cones now. People are getting ready to fight with each other, okay, because of the lack of parking, all right? So that's my big issue, and the reason it is because when people park in front of my house, my husband and I are kapunas, okay? And like anybody else, we have some health issues, but there's no way I can go ahead and park 25 feet away and carry all my groceries into the house or into my yard. So I really get upset. Now, naturally, it's not everyone's gonna say it's not the law, okay, I understand that. But it's just a matter of how we're gonna address the fact that there's lack of parking, not only in the old neighborhoods, but also the new neighborhoods. We have in Kapolei, we have in Ewa Beach. So no one really looks at that and says, look, we have a problem, okay, how are we gonna solve the problem? Now, what you have to take into consideration is, and I'll give you the examples, next door to me on the left-hand side is a doctor. Okay, now she had a business in Kailua. She closed her business down and she works out of home. It was supposed to be a yoga studio. Okay, and that's how she got away with it. All right, so when I went ahead, and then her husband has a lawn business, lawn maintenance business. So he has 3 F-350 trucks that he uses, and he parks in front of his house, or he parks on the street wherever he can, because they're huge, huge, trucks. So what happens is that, when she has people that come, she's got her patients, so naturally they park in front of my house. And then I have a problem because, again, number one, I can't have, when people come to visit me, there's no place to park. Number two, and I try to be really, really considerate of my neighbors too. Just because someone's in front of my house, I'm not gonna go and park in front of your house. That's not right. Okay, so then it becomes an issue. Where am I gonna park? How am I gonna carry all these groceries? Blah, 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 blah. All right. The other thing on top of that is the fact that, we have many people, using the parking, and many people using parking. There are so many people on my street that have businesses. Okay, I've got one guy who does tires. I've got 2 guys who fix automobiles. Okay, I've got one guy that's a plumber, right? And there used to be a guy who was selling, solar panels. Okay, now that's within maybe 6 on this side, 6 on this side of my street. So again, it's a matter of how are we going to be able to enforce, because when you have people that are tenants, they're building because there's, there's tenants.
We get it.
Okay, go ahead.
It's not unique to your street. This, as I said earlier, as we move around the island, in certain areas, this is the same thing.
Yeah.
People running businesses out of homes or coning off, people actually getting in fist fights. I mean, that's been reported. You want to take a shot at that, or does the HPD want to take a shot at that too?
This is actually a combination.
I think it's a combination of DPP and HPD, I think.
Yeah, this is a combination of DPP and HPD, but we'll send out investigators. We'll start with DPP. If we can get your address and location, we'll send out inspectors, investigators to see what is going on. What are your neighbors zoned? Are they correctly running businesses out of their properties or not? So give us your location and all that stuff, and we'll look into it.
Okay, I can tell you that the zoning in my area, is basically, mine is R5, okay? But the reality is this, all right? And this is the part that really gets me upset. It's because there's no enforcement. I'll give you a good example. All city departments, they start at 7:45 and they end at 4:30. When I called to make a complaint, I was told, well, we have to see it first before we can issue, a violation. Well, now how can you do that when these guys come home at 6 o'clock in the evening, you're gone, right? So you should basically have, again, more enforcement, and then the time should be scheduled. I don't understand how this works. It's like, can't you go from 7 to 6 or 7 to 7? I mean, so that way you, and again, not only for parking, for zoning and everything else.
So we do set up special inspection times. When we consistently see issues, exactly what you're talking about, we will provide overtime for our inspectors to go out and investigate these issues.
But that's not a permanent solution, my friend. It's not. It's just saying, oh, well, when the time comes.
Okay, okay.
You know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we'll get your information. We'll be sure we have inspectors when this is going on.
Thank you.
Chief, I'll give you my mic.
So, yeah, I'm trying to understand. So there's commercial vehicles parking on the street. There's legal parking on the street. Depends on what time you get home. Everybody, trust me, I've got neighbors where I live. Everybody not everybody, but a lot of people in Hawaii have 4 cars, right? You only need 1, but they have 4, right? And I've got 4. You need cars for various reasons. You got kids need cars, and there are, so I'm being facetious. So everybody's got at least 4 cars, whether you need them all or not, is not really part of the story. So everybody needs, there's not enough parking in your garage, maybe. There's not enough parking in your driveway, and so then parking on the street. So it becomes a very expensive or a hot commodity that everybody wants, right? And as long as the cars are legal to be parked there, they're taxed and safety checked. We don't know if they have insurance or not, but we assume they do because they're updated, and they're parking legally within the 4 feet of your driveway, within 10 feet of a fire hydrant, then the parking is legal. It's really first come, first serve. I understand your predicament, but I really can't tell somebody, you can't park there because she can't walk because of issues or concerns you may have. So that's really not something we can do, because then I'm violating somebody else's rights, and they could park anywhere they want on the city. So, but there's more things that DPP can do, and we got to work.
Okay, but here's my point. My point is, they're tenants. You know, you've got people who are operating turbo. You've got people who are turning around and, like I said, having businesses. So more and more people are utilizing the street. And that's my problem, because they're businesses. They shouldn't be there. But the reality is, well, everybody wants to make money. And let's face it, if the time comes and I have to go ahead and take them to court or whatever, they make more money than I do. They got a business. Sure enough, they're going to go ahead and hire the best lawyers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the amount of reasons people park on the street, and that's what I'm saying, it shouldn't just be a one-time, and number one, it shouldn't be you folks, because you should be looking at the burglaries and everything else. It should be a department, an enforcement department in DPP enforces parking, enforces zoning. You know, things like that. 3 kitchens on one lot, not supposed to. That's what I'm saying, because we're not solving the problem. We're just pushing it back because you're, in this case, you're telling me, I'm going to do this for you. But what about the next guy that comes up on the street? That's my point.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So just to let you know, DPP enforces on these situations every day. We send out violations, which turn into fines, and when they don't pay their fines, we go put a lien on the property. So we do it all the time. So we get your information, we'll investigate, and seriously,
I'm sorry.
we're not joking around.
That's not a good answer, because you know what? You're not fixing the problem. You're putting a Band-Aid on it, and that's my point. Fix the rules. Make a department. Put 1,000 people in there that's going to go ahead and enforce all these different laws. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Okay. We will deal with this. Ma'am, come on up. Hi.
Marisa Mudio, Kāne and Kahalu'u Community Emergency Response Team.
Hi,
How you doing? I've been working with DEM for like 20 years regarding the safety of our Windward community. And when I first got involved, and you're well aware of these types of things because you were involved too, that the Windward side is really in a lot of trouble, has to take care of itself, folks, if we get a big blow. The island of Oʻahu can lose up to 60% of its homes. So we have serious, serious concerns. In the most recent couple of years, resiliency hubs, about 5-6 years now, have become the popular solution to this, getting communities organized. My query is for the admin, what is your position and how are we proceeding for Ko'olauloa in particular in a resiliency hub development to better prepare us for a big problem, and blue skies too?
No. So, Mike, you want to take a stab at the resiliency hub? it's something we've talking a lot about. You know, we were just in Kahuku last week and talking about what's going on out there with the hahula. I understand the vulnerability. We know that. And the very fact that stuff like that hasn't already been done amazes me, because this is the kind of stuff that should have been worked on a long time ago.
And I want to let Ben speak to it because Ben has a lot more information than I do. But I was going to tell you one of the disappointing things that we're dealing with right now is the loss of federally funded programs that were designed just for that, resiliency, hubs, sustainability. And so we had probably a lead project in Hauula. They had a BRIC grant. Ben just received notification from the feds that the BRIC grant was canceled. So it's a problem. But I think what it means is we're going to have to find our own stream of money to work with communities on these types of hubs, and Ben can give you more.
Thanks, MD. It's Marie, right? Marie, we've talked before, and you know we recognize this problem all around the island. And I think what really is happening is we're understanding that climate change is bringing impacts, and you all in community are seeing them and saying we want to do something about it. And you know, one of the things that our office and DEM and others are doing is we are reaching out to those groups and we're strengthening the network. So we're working with Kapiolani Community College and with Serene, and we're definitely saying, let's make sure there's communication, let's make sure that people have resources and do things like CERT training, like the shirt you're wearing, because that really matters. We cannot solve this problem by ourselves. But as MD indicated, we do at times have dependence on federal programs. In this case, we were looking really hard at the BRIC program for Hauula, and as you know, that was canceled. So that's a difficult setback for us. But we're not done, and we are going to continue to work with everybody as best we can because we know it's going to get more difficult, and we also know that together we can solve this. So I'm happy to respond more if you have, but I think that's what we have right now.
And that's wonderful to hear, and you really got to pay attention to this, but I hope that you will pull us in. The community groups that you keep on saying are the basis for which we're going to solve it. Don't keep just talking to yourselves. Bring us into it as well as part of the hub.
You know, on this particular issue, I would promise you, Marie, it's a real top of mind thing. I think, you know, in this capacity, not just as mayor, but I speak for our whole team, you know, public safety is the #1 priority, and not just the work to take nothing away from what the police do, but it's broader in every context you can imagine. And we talk about it consistently with our first responders. We know that vulnerability. We just hired, he's not here tonight, we give him an orientation with shakas and movers. We just hired somebody to be in charge of our emergency services that we're really excited about. Bob was really nice enough to come tonight. Robert, right? Yeah, to come tonight in his place. But we got 3 years and 8 months left. This stuff should have been done. I'm gonna say it again, I'm not passing the buck, but we're gonna try to do it. We're up against a tough situation right now federally too, because we got people saying climate change doesn't exist and they're canceling stuff left and right. We're gonna have to figure out, as Mike suggested, some form of revenue because, look, I spent 43 years in media. I spent a lot of nights looking at Doppler radar screens right here on the island of Oahu, looking at things that never happened, praying to God it wouldn't, trying to, you know, hope for the best, and we were lucky. But I understand the vulnerability. I truly, truly do. Anything else? Because I want to...
Just one more thing. I don't want us to focus on money on this. We're the Windward side, and we really do take care of ourselves quite well. We have people with all types of skills and talents and heavy equipment. We can get out there and do this ourselves. We don't really need
Well, our office will stay open to that. I would tell you that we looked at the thing in Hauula, and it was like $46 million. And we said, well, we're going to get, that's a federal thing. Look, we'll stay open. We were at a town hall a few weeks ago in Haleiwa, and a guy from the audience came up and he said, I got a tractor, I'll take care of that. Yep. I said, we don't want to know about it, but take care of it, yep. Okay? I mean, I'm being honest with you. I think this is Hawaiian style. So I actually want to bring the senator up because we want to tell you something, and this lady I know is talking here about enforcement. Get a little good news. I'm going to intervene the questions for 1 second on something that could happen here. I'd like you to know about it.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Aloha, everyone. How many of you live on the Heia side of Kaneohe, near the mall, or you drive on Haiku Road, past Heia Elementary or Windward Mall? So for the residents in that area, they know for the last several years, we've had a really bad problem with one illegal Airbnb operator who purchased about 20 Toyota Sienna vans and was operating an illegal mobile Airbnb business out of the townhouse complex over there and was parking those 20 vans along Haiku Road, taking up the whole stretch. He even painted some of the no parking areas on the curb, the red painted areas. He painted them gray so that he could illegally park some of those vans along the road. So Esther, Councilmember Kia'aina, who's around here, brought us together. There was a change in the law we needed to make, but it was really the HPD, the police department, that cracked down on that whole activity at the request of the neighbors. And so when the earlier comment came up, I went over and just checked with Officer Justin Ayu, who doesn't want to talk, but I told the mayor he got to come talk because he has to give an update on that whole situation with the vans on Haiku Road. How about a round of applause for all of our officers?
Okay, I was not prepared for this. Okay? I can write you tickets, I'll arrest you, but public speaking, yeah, okay. Anyway, to give you some background on what happened, like the senator said, there was these vans, and those of you who live in that area are familiar. They were basically renting these vans out as Airbnbs. They would paint the posts, and foreigners would come and rent these vans. They would sleep in the vans, take the vans out for the day, come back. And the issue was, you know, parking is limited everywhere, but parking was limited in that area because those 20 vans took up 20 stalls for residents who in that area had condos. You only get one parking, so everybody relies on street parking. So that took up. So we worked collaboratively with Senator and Councilwoman Esther Kia'aina. We had a meeting. We started to do enforcement every day. My community policing team back there, we took charge of that. I didn't want to put this on the patrol officers because they have enough to do with other cases throughout the day. So we took it upon ourselves to every day, just whatever violations legally we could do with these vans, we did. Safety checks, registrations, we towed the vans, we gave citations for people sleeping in the vans overnight, which is illegal. We actually went and we talked to the Airbnb owner. It was one guy. We sat down, we had a meeting with him, we kind of reasoned with him as far as what was going on. Eventually, I guess enough was enough. He had enough of his vans being towed, his cars being ticketed. He stopped the operation, and the community got all their parking back. The vans are no longer there. Don't know where he went, whether he just gave it up or he went to another part of the island. I usually get the majority of the complaints coming through District 4 that we take care of, so didn't receive any complaints thus far from any Airbnbs or vans that are helping. So thanks to my team, actually give credit where credit is due. Senator and Councilwoman Kia'aina for bringing this together, bringing this to light, and solving a problem in the community positively. Thank you. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. No, thank you, sir. Thank you. Excellent. Come on up. Okay, I just one editorial thing. And I know her dialogue is still going on, but just so everybody knows, this is exactly why we're doing this. It's exactly why we come here, okay? And as I said at the outset, I can appreciate the passion, anticipating it, maybe the frustration, you know? But I can tell you, from an enforcement standpoint, I want to stand up for HPD for a second because they're doing a hell of a job with stuff that's not easy, as we all know. But in a lot of cases, you know, Jim just talked about the homeless situation in Chinatown. We're feeling pretty good at what we're doing humanely. We also have zero tolerance for criminal behavior, and when it's warranted, just in the last 3 years, in Waikiki and Chinatown alone, we've made over 5,000 arrests. Not putting up with people who do bad things. The stuff you're talking about is your neighbors, and they're coning up. It's different, you know. And we got to figure that out because that's becoming more prevalent. And I know that Chief Logan said he was being facetious, but we actually have more cars registered on the island of Oahu than we do people. And there's a logic problem with that because, as the chief said, a lot of people have multiple cars, some they don't even use, and a lot of people buy these big trucks. So we're going to we'll address your specific thing and see what we can do. But some of this stuff is in the spirit of who we are as a people in neighborhoods should get resolved that way, ideally. But if we can exercise police presence, if we can exercise DPP with investigators, things that we can do to curb bad behavior, we'll help with that. Okay, we will. Okay, ma'am.
I have a really easy question, but you know, regarding to the parking, my name is Charlene Nakamoto. I'm a new minister at the Kaneohe Higashi Honganji, and so I was thinking, why can't small businesses or people who have the vans and all, maybe they should approach some of the churches, some of those other small businesses. If you go around after we're done and drive home, you look for empty parking lots and make a donation to that organization. I'm sure they might be willing to have loan a stall, rent a stall. Our temple right now is loaning out stalls for doctor.
That's a great idea.
And we used to for Jack in a Box, because we're right there. But, you know, again, we want to look for win-win situations, right?
But, you know, I'm going to put the pressure on you, Lloyd. You know, this is neighborhood board stuff. This stuff ought to get worked out at the neighborhood board. I mean, I don't mind hearing about it tonight, but that's why we have neighborhood boards. You know, some of this stuff.
Can I ask my question?
No.
If you don't mind?
I'm going to say no to a minister. Of course.
No, I
you
got
can.
a real easy
How
one.
many questions do you want to ask? Go ahead.
20. No. What's being built across the street from us at the Kaneohe playground? There's construction going on really long, and usually I look for the sign and it says, "Pardon, we're doing this," but I can't figure it out.
Yes, sorry, I'm not.
The Kaneohe playground.
The Kaneohe playground.
Yeah.
We'll look into it. We'll get your information and we'll let you know what's going on. But we're not sure right now.
Oh, the construction drainage
Oh, is
or
it- it's a
something?
cro-
Or
it's
there's
across-
rumors about pickleball, so everybody's getting excited. No, after that, right across the temple, the Kaneohe playground, it's the baseball field. They used to have the community garden in the back.
Okay. All right, so you're getting several guys
All
to
the
stand up.
Kaneohe
This is a heck of
people
a
know the
question here.
Kaneohe playground.
They're all there. Stay right there. This is going to be good. Go ahead, Ted. Ted's for Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one you mean, so, but I
Okay,
think we
you
can
turn
definitely.
Cam Highway,
Yeah.
Jack in a Box. You turn at Jack in a Box, and you're going to Windward Community College on
Yeah.
Keahala Road. And the playground and the baseball field is on your right-hand side.
Okay.
There's a pavilion, playground equipment for kids, and baseball. All the baseball guys know the playground.
Ted, you know, for some reason, as graphic as her description was, I got a feeling that you don't know where it is.
Yeah, I'm still not sure which.
And I don't want you to suffer
That's
up
okay,
here.
that's okay.
and try
I'll
to-
leave you my
Why don't we get you
contact-
two
yeah.
together, get that,
contact
we'll get
info.
on this.
Definitely
And
connect
then-
with me.
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll get on it, I
Okay.
promise you.
I just
Yeah, I
want to know
gotta-
what. And another thing is, what's the best way for the community to get Keahala Road repaved? Is there something we can do? Sign a petition? What? Because man,
paving question.
the traffic on Keahala is your thoroughfare. It takes the traffic from Kahikili to Cam Highway and the reverse. So if you're there at rush hour,
Okay.
that train of cars goes past the playground. And they all know it.
Okay.
So,
Warren, did you hear where
Okay.
she's talking about?
so how can we
Warren
get that
Mamazuka from
repaved?
Facilities and Maintenance. She wants you to get on and pave a street.
Well, my
The
good friend
potholes-
Haku Milias.
The potholes
DDC.
are getting bigger
Okay,
than
potholes.
the
So-
district park pothole
Okay.
parking lot. Okay.
All right.
I don't want to be mean, but
You-
you guys
you-
all know the district park
Your,
parking lot
your,
too,
sermon,
man.
your sermons must be amazing.
I have no
No.
congregation.
All right, no, let's try to answer
Oh,
that.
the district. Oh, the district parking lot. Okay.
To exit the district park? Oh my God. Anyway.
All right, Haku wants to meet with you and get all your
Okay.
details.
Okay, and the
Yeah,
last one. Are there any plans for a shower station for the homeless? All of us have to lock our faucets
Yeah.
in the temple property and our neighboring temples
Yeah.
because broad daylight, they'll come and they'll start taking
Yeah.
a bath
Yeah.
in the faucet in the parking
Okay.
lot. And I feel really bad. We're supposed
No,
to show
we're doing a much
compassionate,
better
be
job, yeah.
compassionate and all.
Right.
And I have to tell them, can you finish up and please don't come back.
Okay.
And I don't want to
Well,
call the police,
you know, we're,
they say call us.
We've
but
been more successful in other parts of the island, and we're expanding, as Dr. Island said, in how we treat our homeless. I'm really proud of what we're doing with our homeless. And I've gone on record of saying that, look, I'm not anybody you're ever going to hear saying we're going to end homelessness, because we're not. But last year alone, after going through the years of planning and figure out what we're going to do in collaboration with the state and the monies and the resources they have through the Department of Health, we have CORE, as Jim said. We've got we have a mobile crisis unit. We now have last year and more coming, at least in the short term. I don't know how much we're going to be able to expand in the coming year, over 1,000 new beds to take people, and we now pay people to take care of them. We have, as part of what Governor Green is doing too at the Kauhale, there are showers around the grid, we have portable. We're doing a much better job of that. I said this year,
I agree.
net of recidivism, we want to take 1,000 people off the streets. We have a real challenge on our hands. So what we're looking for, and a term I'd like you to remember when it comes to homelessness, is functional control. That's what we want. So we want to be able to take over that. We have to do a better job. I think we're expanding on the Windward side. It's a pervasive situation. It used to only be in a few locations. So I can promise you, we're really sensitive to the various areas around the island. You know, and so we'll do a better job there. We will. I can promise you.
I'm
That's
just
it.
thinking.
That's it.
Shower stations.
Okay, we got it. Shower
That's the
stations.
first step.
We're
They
gonna put
all
them on the
wanna
grid,
be-
though. Yeah, we can do that. We can rent them. We have them, but we've got to get hooked up on the grid. Anything you want to say, Edward, about that?
So what I can do is I can get in touch with Project Vision. Project Vision does have mobile shower trailers. We can kind of talk to them about their schedule, and we can get them out to this side of the island.
Thank you very much for
No, it's a big
having
issue with
us
us.
today.
Here's the deal about homelessness. The point-in-time count will tell you that the number's around 4,500. I don't believe that number. I don't want to denigrate anybody that does that. I've taken the position where you could double that number. You know, homeless service providers who know better than I tell me that's too aggressive. But the fact is, we're dealing with some real unprecedented challenges. And we've kept a lot of people from becoming homeless. But that said, here's the interesting fact. Even at 9,000, that represents less than 1% of our island population. Yet it's in everybody's face. And so that's what we're trying to deal with in ways that make sense, that are legal. We've been fortunate in a lot of ways in what's happened with the courts, Supreme Court especially. We've been much more aggressive, albeit acting humanely. As Dr. Island said, one of the things that we've learned, our chronic homeless, they've all been out there in the streets for a long time. And most of them suffer from either some form of mental illness, PTSD, depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, things that can be treated medically. And in fact, in our respite centers, we are treating people medically that way and seeing some amazing transformations. In fact, there are psychotic drugs that are out there that antipsychotic drugs that are really powerful for people even more disturbed than that. But it takes them to give you permission. This is why we're doing a thing with Guardians on Lightem. It's a very complex problem. We've made a lot of inroads, and I'm going to say it again. We're looking to reduce homelessness this year by 1,000 people. Now, that's still going to leave us with a number. And I said it by State of the City if you didn't see it. We now know from our homeless service providers that somewhere between 500 and 1,000 people a year are flying in here. Okay? So we have resources, but it's tough. We're up against that. And so we're doing the best we can, but I feel really good now. In fact, we just yesterday did a press conference. We have new ambulances, 2 new ambulances for court. We have 6 ambulances, a team of some 30-some-odd people. We're going to try to expand on that. We've got 6 SUVs. We've got places to take them, beds to put them in, showers to give them. All of that mitigates people going to the emergency rooms at Queens, calling EMS, taking ambulances off the street, or for that matter, HPD, which we know we don't want to have. There's a lot of progress we're making. It's just going to take some time. Showers, I think, through Project Vision over here, where we're not quite set up, we will. So hear me. I got one question. Let me read it. It's a quick one, and then we'll go to you, because somebody from the audience wrote it. And I think, Andy, it's going to come to you, Andy Kawano. It says, when will the City and County of Honolulu have electronic bank transfers set up for property tax payment?
Andy Kawano, Director of Budget and Fiscal Services. Good question. When you say electronic bank transfer, it can mean different things. So let me look into that. Right now, we outsource payments, where you make it using a credit card. But let me check on that. I don't have the answer. Yep.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Aloha, everybody. Thank you for putting this together. It educates one another. And my name is Mapuana and Kahalu'u. I live in Kaneohe. I'm a senior. I live at the senior residence at Kaneohe. And I have some concerns. One of them, right across, we have the medial area where the height of grass grows fast, fast, fast. I'm short, so by the time I come out to drive and I'm like, what's going on here? And the guys do come and cut the grass, but not in a appropriate manner
Not fast enough.
Right.
Not faster
And
than the grass is growing, I get it.
What scares me is when people drive and accidents can occur.
Okay.
Okay, that's one. And then right after the medial, the trees are on the medial and they're huge. The tree roots are going under the ground of the next side. So when we drive, we're like hitting bumps. I mean, mean bumps. And if you don't catch it in time, your car takes a beating. So I've learned to go slow, but the people behind is like, why is she going so slow? So, and then the last concern is because we deal with a lot of seniors that do drive, I'm just wondering, our car insurance is sky high every year. I don't want no freebies, not asking for a freebie on the car registration, car registration, but why can't they cut it in half for seniors? I mean, it's really climbing up there for car registration each year for seniors. So that's just my three that I'm
Let's talk
concerned
about the grass. I don't know if we're going to speculate. That's an interesting suggestion. Since I'm a senior too, I like that idea.
No, I understand. Well, at least I said something that resonates with you.
Well, I come on.
You know?
I tell you, the thing about the streets and the trees.
Yes.
That's all over the island. I have to tell you.
I realize
for
that.
all the things that we love
I
about trees, and
that.
we love them, and we plant them as a city, and
that.
shade, and all the environmental guys tell you it's great. Years ago, there were people in charge of doing that stuff that didn't know what they were doing.
Right.
I'm serious, they planted the wrong trees.
And
we're knocking down a whole garage in town because somebody had a great idea to build a big civic garage in Real Honolulu and then put these grassy fields and all these trees on top, never thinking that after about 30 years of irrigation, everything would start to collapse.
Right.
You know,
so and it's not only that, but it's Kamehameha Highway and the
I know,
roads
we know.
are nasty.
It's a challenge. So
we need nice roads.
All right. Ben wants.
Thank you, Mayor. So you mentioned the trees, and I think we all have the kind of both sides of trees. We all love these big, beautiful trees. We all understand that they cause problems. One of the things that our office is doing with Department of Parks and Recreation and others is updating our tree standards, and it goes exactly to what Mayor said. There's better ways to plant those trees so we don't have those problems, and it takes some study. So we are looking into that. That's one small piece, but I know there is multiple questions.
Wonderful.
Now, before Warren paves your street, Esther Kiaina just told me, or commits to paving your street, or whatever it is. Maybe it's not ours. You know, here's the thing, and this is the truth. It's amazing. There are two things that I learned as mayor. What belongs to the state and what belongs to the city. I'm not here to pass the buck. It's amazing what sometimes is a state road, which I thought would be a city road. It's like and vice versa. And the same is true with streams. It's really pretty incredible. Esther just told me, why don't you be the one to announce it? Mapuana, you've been heard.
Thank you kindly. I'm going
to... thank you for your question with regard to the car registration. There's actually a bill pending, but it was narrowly tailored for veterans 65 and older, and what happened was it caused a big dialogue, and so a lot of people who heard about it on site got up and said, why not all seniors? And then the rest of us who were on the city council also were empathetic to that. So it is that's something that has been talked about, because as a matter of equity, why would it only be for veterans? So I just need to let you know that it is being considered, and it's not that they don't believe that veterans deserve it, it's just that you have to be equitable. And so that is where the council is at, and it's something that we're considering. Thank you.
I'll go so far as to say if the city council approves it, I'll sign it. Okay? I'll tell you that right now. All right. Warren, was there anything you wanted to add? Do you know the road she's speaking about?
Yeah, it's Kamehameha Highway. Yeah. So,
go ahead.
Like Haku mentioned earlier, that project has gone out for bid. It has been awarded, so it should be getting started maybe later this year. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay,
what about the grass growing so fast in the median strips?
Yeah. So. You know, we've been having quite a bit of rain on the windward side. I just moved back to Kahalu'u, right? So my yard grows, the grass grows out real fast. So the median strips, you know, we have our roads division crew in Kāne next to King Intermediate School. So they're on like a 6 to 8 week schedule cutting the medians. Right now they're actually cleaning Kamo'ali'i stream near Luluku and Like. So they're doing that manually.
And I understand the 6 to 8 weeks. So I saw the guys cutting the grass one day, and this was a few months back. I came over there and I told the guys, can you get Auntie a lawnmower? Just get me a lawnmower. I don't need to get paid, but when you guys not here, once a week, I can just lawnmower that area. I would love to do that. They said, Auntie, you gotta be working for the department. And
Auntie
I went, really?
We can get you some PPEs, hard hat, high vis,
Yeah.
jeans, work boots,
Yeah.
and we'll get you a weed whacker. We don't have lawnmowers.
You know what,
no.
Mapuana, I'm going to get you together with the guy in Haleiwa with the tractor. And you two, I don't know what you could get done, but it sounds like it would be a lot. Let me just tell you one other thing, and I'll have you come up. One of the things that when we came into office a little bit more than 4 years ago, and I'm going to thank the City Council because they've been great partners in this, and Esther's representing them tonight. One of the things that hit me in the face, having come from the private sector, was the number of vacancies in the city and the history of that. So you come into a city, and I think you heard Nola say tonight in her introduction, we have over 10,000 employees. We have more than 3,000 vacancies, and some of those over 10,000 employees right now, people working on personal services contracts. So one of the things that we were determined to do is to change the HR function. And we've really done a deep dive on that. Nola provides great leadership. She said we're here tonight recruiting. The council's been great with us approving our budgets. We've budgeted for all of our departments. We're trying to hire as aggressively as we can. You know, it's a tough job market. If you saw earlier in the week, there was a report in the Star Advertiser said unemployment now is dipped below 3%. Yet there isn't anybody I know, us too, that is aggressively looking for people, and there just don't seem to be enough people. It's a real challenge. But we have, because what happened with those vacancies, a lot of work didn't get to. And, you know, and not only that, worse yet, for the people who are in those jobs, they felt overwhelmed because they could never get enough done. And then on top of that, the morale starts to sink because they figure, well, nobody cares, I'm working so hard. So we're trying to address all of that. So one thing I'll tell you, for the first time in over 25 years, when this fiscal year ends in June 30th, this will be the third straight year that we've had net employee growth, for the third year. Historically, the city was losing about 700 people a year through retirements. As it is, it's risky business. You want to talk about Kapuna, 15% of our job force is past the age of retirement, okay? So we lose about 700 and hire back 550, 600, we lose 800, like that. And that went on over a period of time. So that's also impacted how things get done. And what we said as an administration, we may cry a lot of things, but we're not going to cry poor. We just put before the City Council a $5.1 billion budget. It's the biggest budget that's been there. People have expectations with that kind of number, both in our CIP, our capital programs, and our operating, that we're going to get stuff done. I said earlier tonight, committed, capable. We're about getting stuff done. Okay, so I would tell you that we're really aware of that stuff, and we don't think it's been a good service to the public, and we should be out there front. In some places right now, we're doing better than others, but we're getting there. So, yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Lisa Uesato. I'm from Windward Neighborhood Security Watch Coordinators Group, and so I just wanted to speak with Warren Mamizuka of the Department of Facilities Maintenance, and this is about the faded NSW street signs that need to be replaced. So I have a list here. I can give it to you. Yeah, thank you very much. So this is like from different areas.
That's great that you have the list. You know, that again, that's happening
areas.
all over the island.
Yeah.
I get that. We get that complaint a lot. So, yeah. When Warren says, "Yeah, I know," I get, yeah.
We're trying to hire more street sign installers. So I believe we have like 3 crews. So one crew is a crew leader and a helper. So we are looking to hire more. We are behind. we're behind every sign on this island, you know, every district. So we'll do our best to catch up. I'll go over the list with our staff, see what we can do.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. Appreciate that. Who's up next? Yes, sir.
All right, so you said no speeches, so I'll try my best not to give a speech, but first of all, I went to one of these a couple of years ago. I think it was at Ben Parker, I believe.
Yep.
They didn't take any questions. It wasn't with you, it was with the Kaneohe leadership and everything like that. They didn't take any questions, so I appreciate you guys coming out here today, taking live questions. It takes a lot of guts, obviously, because you never know what people are going to say.
Especially when they come in like Mike with a baseball bat. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's
I
kind of
tell
crazy.
you, I'm watching this guy thinking, oh, wow, this is going to be good. And he's a big guy on top of it.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna score some points real quick before I take away some points, obviously. If there's any teachers out there and any nurses, happy Nurses and Teachers Week, so thank you for that. My wife's a nurse and my sister-in-law's a teacher, so I gotta get more points. So just a couple of things. I have just a couple of questions, and then I have a couple of requests. People are leaving Hawaii in large numbers. We are one of the only states with income tax, sales tax, property tax, the highest vehicle registrations, safety check fees, firework fees, whatever you want to call that when you want to light fireworks. We just created a new tax for tourists, AKA the green tax, right, for climate change, which I think everyone's aware of. We also have some of the poorest roads, infrastructure, schools, lowest paid teachers, and some of the worst, and we are the worst state in America to do business. Tourism, taxes, and the military can't be our only options. Where's the money going, especially on the windward side? And what's the vision to make us competitive against other states? I know you just said something about $5.1 billion you just signed that went to City Council.
Well, that's what we submitted. You know, some of that's in capital, and some of that is in operating. Okay, so we know all that stuff. So why don't you run for mayor? Okay?
I may one day.
You know, I mean, I'll tell you, we're aware of all of that. That's what we're up against. The out-migration, I've said this repeatedly. I don't know when I learned that word. I think I probably said it before I came in office. It's become part of my daily vocabulary. And everything that you just cited about the cost of living and the taxes, we can't do enough. You know, Kevin could tell you about the things we're trying to do in housing. The city was a non-player in housing. It disbanded in 1998. It wasn't in the private activity bond business for 23 years. We got the city back in it. Since then, we've awarded $670 million in 3 years. The affordable housing funds had lapsed. We found nearly $50 million. We've reinvested all that money with developers trying to build affordable housing. You know, some of the taxes are state-driven. They're not what we're doing here. But we get the high cost of living. We don't want to lose any more people. I just got done saying unemployment may be down. We still don't have enough people. We lost a lot of people during COVID. A lot of people have since moved in. But the people who are moving in are not part of the job market. Part of what we're experiencing is a real demographic shift. So yeah, Hawaii's always had all of those things. You could have said what you just said 10 years ago.
Or 20.
Or 20, okay? So we're trying to attack it where we can. One of the biggest contributions we're going to make is in housing. Okay, because we have that capability, and we're already demonstrating it, we're already doing it, and we've gone on record of saying before we leave office in 3 years and 8 months from the time that we started, we will have created, accretive now, and not even counting the adaptive reuse that we're investing in to ensure that buildings that are already affordable, 18,000 units. The state is also doing their thing, but all the other stuff, you know, the vehicle registration, I'm not going to ask Megan to come up here right now. That's actually in parts set by the state. Where is she? She's over there. You know, the city and county, somewhere along the way, somewhere convinced somebody in Honolulu that we should do all the traffic stuff for all the islands in the state. So some of this stuff gets dictated, you know, from the state. But we're just trying to do everything we can, man. Everything we can. We're trying to provide safety, as I said, personal safety. I can tell you, we're attacking problems that should have been fixed a long time ago. DPP, for example. I know Brian's been on the hot seat tonight. Don's not here. You know, that was broken for a long time, for decades. And nobody was doing anything about it. We've come light years from that. And I've on record, I said in the State of the City this year, by the end of this year, you'll be able to get a permit here on Oahu as fast as anywhere in the country. That's a big statement. And I wouldn't have said that. I would not have said that if I wasn't confident in what we're doing, okay? So we're trying to attack all of those wicked problems, whether it's housing, homelessness, DPP, because DPP is a big barrier to entry. It really impacts the construction industry and a lot of other things. It helps. We're doing everything we can to be a facilitator, to create jobs, to make things happen. You know, I don't have a say in what teachers earn, but I can tell you what nurses earn, since you talked about nurses. The nurses here are paid the highest in the country, the highest. Yet their net effective buying income is like 51, okay? As far as the state being a lousy place to do business, I hear you. It has been that historically. We're trying to change that, even within the city and county. You know, we said we came into office, we were going to be facilitators. We're going to get to yes. We don't want to get to no. We're going to stop the regulation. City and county was overregulated, and it takes a while to disband that. So all of that stuff, as you just acknowledged, you could have said even 20 years ago, that's what we're up against. And that's why I wasn't trying to be flip about running for mayor. That's what you take on. So I feel that. And if I had an immediate answer, I would tell you, but I don't. There's a whole lot of things that you go and you work against doing that. And I'm proud of how far we've come. We have changed the trajectory of Honolulu. We have changed the trajectory. And by the time we're done, in 3 years and 8 months, that will be a really lasting contribution. Whether it's about staffing, whether it's modernizing the city. You know, Brian McKee's didn't say much tonight about being an IT guy, but I gotta tell you, I came from a technology-driven business, 43 years in media, you know, was around when the iPhone got invented and all that other stuff, okay? You know, we were pulling computers out of the Fosse building, the data center from the 70s and 80s, okay? I mean, the lack of modernization, we said, you know, we're now in the 6th year of the 3rd decade of the 21st century. Where are we on Oahu? And what are we gonna do about it? So I hear you. And I appreciate somebody who goes up there and lists off all these problems that, like I said, have been long-standing. That's what this group committed itself to take on and make a difference in all of those areas where we can. Some of that stuff is beyond our control.
Yeah, I understand. So obviously, thank you for that. And I understand that it's also a cultural shift, right? You're up against, you know, 50, 60 years of whatever, inactivity or however you want to call it. So I get that. The only thing I ask is for each one of you that are obviously here, just be proactive. Don't be reactive, right? We've been reactive for long enough, and that's kind of some of the situations that we're in today.
We know that. And I'll just tell you, we don't talk about people before us.
Yep.
I've known a lot of mayors before us. I know the culture of this team. I know the commitment we've made, and we're getting a lot of stuff done.
Yep.
Okay.
And now, just my last request. These are a lot easier than those other ones that I listed. Okay. So, lastly, please pave Kamehameha Highway by the police station. That's one. That should be easy. That's a softball. You guys should get that one. Yeah, everyone knows what I'm talking about. Right? We put enough potholes and enough stuff on that pavement. It's just ridiculous. And then remove the right turn only on the green from Puiaina Street by Grace Mortuary. Makes no sense. It's the only one that I know that you have to wait on red, or you have to wait for it to turn green. You know what I'm talking about.
John,
exactly.
You know about that? He's going to go talk to you. He's going to get that.
Yeah, we can go drive after this if you want. I'll show you where it's at.
All right. Okay,
and then last one, just to the police chief, and everybody. My neighbor's a police officer, Felix Gassman. Right? I love the police. I understand you guys have a really difficult job. There's a lot of people that, you know, you have a lot of job openings. I get it. But there are 40,000 vehicle registrations and safe checks on this island that are expired. We need to create some sort of electronic database. Mary, you were kind of talking about the IT. Create some sort of electronic database.
We know this.
Okay, good.
So
hopefully we get something going with that, and just don't make laws that we can't enforce. Thank you.
You know that last comment you made? That last comment about don't make, I'm a big believer in that. In fact, we're trying to change laws, okay? Because if you create a law and you can't enforce it, what good is it? This woman up here tonight talked about stuff that maybe legally people have a right to. That's hard enough. But we're not big fans of doing that, okay? I can promise you that. Okay, sir.
Good evening, Mayor. My name is Frank Silva. I am with the Kaneohe Canoe Club. And Chief Logan, nice to see you. I've served in the Air Guard for 38 years. It's nice to see you again, sir. I have some of our board members here for the Kaneohe Canoe Club, and we have some concerns and issues. So as we all know, the Canoe Club is in every community in our state, which serves from our children all the way to our kupuna.
It's an absolutely great sport.
Absolutely.
It's a great sport.
Yeah, it's good for the community. And so Kaneohe Canoe Club has been around for over 50 years, since the 70s. And we had an issue where a car crashed into the way the hale at the pier, the Heiakea Pier is set up. The hale is right. It runs alongside parallel with was it Cam Highway, right? And so recently this fence that runs alongside our hale has been there for a very long time. So recently a car crashed into the fence, and so that fence prevented the car from going all the way into our hale. And so as a group, as a board members, we decided to repair that fence. And so, so over the weekend, we dug out all the posts, we put up the fence, and this past Monday, DLNR came to address the issue of repairing the fence. So we got emails from the Department of Boat and Recreation, Harbor. Yeah, so from the director to remove that fence. And so we wanted to address that issue. It protects.
Brian, you want to say anything about this?
It protects the people. Actually, that's the only guardrail that we have in that hale.
But you know the DLNR is, I hate to say this because I'm not passing the buck, but that's a state.
Okay.
But
yeah.
I can have Brian try to address what he wants to say about it.
So we did know that the fence, the repair of that fence fell probably, I'm thinking with the city, but DLNR was enforcing their jurisdiction on the repair of the fence, or we're going to get kicked out of the hale. Basically, we got an email from sent to our board members. So that's one issue. So let's see here.
Yeah, unfortunately, it sounds like there's a line there. It's because Cam Highway in that area is state, and then anything in the waterways in the whole pier is state. But yeah, we can get your information because that's when it is under city jurisdiction, we work with fence repairs and things like that. So yeah, we can try to assist.
Yeah. So you know, we did all the volunteer work.
Okay.
We provided all the labor and all that stuff to
repair
that fence.
Which I think is great.
To protect our hale.
So we'll follow up and
our
see if we
kids.
can. Let's see if we can help with DLNR. Would seem kind of stupid to have to take down that fence, right?
Right.
After you guys did all that work, and not only that, having a fence there already established the fact that it protected the hale, right?
Right.
So okay.
And so the other issue that we had was along that Cam Highway from the bridge all the way to Heiakea Pier, the brush is so overgrown on that sidewalk that a lot of people, including our paddlers, they jog and they exercise along that area, and the brush is really, really bad. And so the safety of that is pretty serious.
All
So
right. We'll get that from you. Warren will get that from you. Anything else?
And the parking alongside the is limited in the pier. So DLNR is enforcing us again that we should park in these parking stalls when there's not enough parking stalls to park. There's only trailer boat parking. There's limited parking for regular vehicles. So everyone parks basically on Cam Highway and trying to avoid the traffic, which is, I believe, is a really bad safety, because it's a really serious safety concern. And so it seems like
Has that situation gotten worse lately?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, man. Yeah. So
what's making it worse?
Well, here's other issues with this is the first time that all the years I have paddled along with our president, Clint Anderson, Carla, our board members as well, is that of the over 50 years that we have been at that hale, we have been visited by DLNR on a regular basis. I've never seen DLNR officers at our hale so much times. So we feel like we've been targeted, and we feel like that.
You didn't tell him you're friends with Chief Logan?
No.
You didn't tell him you guys were in the guard together or whatever it was? I mean, you should drop his name. You're missing the opportunity. Look, we'll look into that. I want to get, we only have 10 minutes left. I want to get, there's another man here, maybe, I want to get as many questions in.
So, we feel like we've been unfairly targeted.
Yeah.
Because whatever issues
I hear you.
DLNR has
Yeah.
with
And I
the
don't
Kailua
know.
Club.
We'll
And
try to help with that.
So we've been getting basically email threats that they're going to revoke our permit for the holiday, which is an issue for us because Kailua and Kahalu'u Club has been there for a very long time.
Mike
They
said
are
we'll
so-
talk
so-
to Carl Chang. We'll find out what's going on. It doesn't.
Please.
It sounds like you are being. It doesn't. I mean, I don't want to.
Yeah.
We're on television, and I can get it. Like
Yeah.
you feel that way,
Yeah.
and maybe there's something there. But we'll have the conversation. I
So,
promise
so
you.
we have monthly board meetings, and during our monthly board meetings, you guys are more than happy to attend our board meetings so we can address those issues as well.
Okay. People go
Is that
where
okay,
they're
man?
invited. People go where they're invited. You invite us, we'll show up.
Okay.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Aloha. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Chief.
Yeah, sir.
Hello, Mayor. I'm Bill Hicks from Kailua.
I know who you are, Bill Hicks. Glad to see you here.
Well, great to be here. And thank you for coming out for this Windward Town Hall. This is kind of a macroscopic question. The 5 cities in the country closest to us in terms of population are Jacksonville, Austin, Fort Worth, and San Jose. And when you look at the operating budgets of the 5 municipalities, it's all apples and oranges. Every city's unique. So you can't draw direct comparisons, but just big picture wise, our operating budget's far and away the largest. 3.4 billion, and San Jose's next with 2.1 billion. Are there things that we could do with procurement practices or other ways in which we operate that we could become, I hate to say government efficiency because I know what that means, but
well, we're working on
could
okay.
we preserve
All right. So
taxpayer dollars?
I can tell you this, and Mike might want to speak about it, or Andy. We haven't really talked about it, but procurement is one of these things we're determined to change. If everybody up here could tell you, it's a bane of their existence in trying to get stuff done. Okay? The procedures, the requirements are archaic. In some cases, they're almost impossible. They don't have enough staffing there. We're hiring 10 people, procurement specialists. We're investing serious money in technology. We have an open-minded director now with respect to looking at this at face value. But let me say one other thing about budgets, since I did a lot of budgets in my life. San Jose, Honolulu, you can't compare the raw numbers.
I know.
Okay, that's really unfair, okay? Because that's not how it works, William. And you know it, and I know it, all right? So, going back to what this young man said in the litany of things, too, we also have a high cost of living here, too, in what goes on, right? You know, and if you say, a very high percentage alone of our operating budget is in salaries, okay? So, we're trying to do the best we can, and I would tell you this, it was independent stuff done last year, but the 3 agencies, Berkshire Hathaway named us the safest city in the world, Forbes said we're the #1 city in America to live in, and I think it was Travel and Leisure that said we were the best city in America. So you could take that to San Jose, and we're not doing so bad, okay? And I'll tell you this on behalf of HPD, we have our issues here, we have crime here, this is a safe place. Believe me, I've lived in places that are not safe. This is a safe place. Despite the stuff that goes on, nowhere near there. So there is a really good value proposition. We may be a challenging place to do business in, we're trying to correct that, but there's a lot of good stuff about being here, and you know that, Bill.
I totally know that, and
Yeah.
I recognize the apples and oranges. Every place is unique, but overall, maybe there are some things we could do to.
Honest to God, I promise you, we should invite you to I'm going to invite you to our procurement meeting. You should, I'll have you come in there. You listen to what we're dealing with. I'm serious. Okay? All right.
Happy to. Mahalo.
I think we only, I'm serious. Well, I got a lot of respect for Bill Hicks. He's a great community guy. He's done a lot of stuff. Okay? I do. And maybe I was a little too familiar, Bill. I'm sorry. But I feel like I have such great respect for all the work you've done for this community. I feel like I could talk to you that way. I hope you don't mind that. You got it. Okay, sir, you're up.
Good night, everyone. Thank you all for coming in and having this meeting out here tonight. I have a question. Before that, it's kind of like a comment too. And thanks to all the dedicated policemen, firefighters, EMS. You guys do a really great work for our community. I read a while back, Mayor, that retainment for HPD is really low. And I think I read also that said like started like $75,000 per year. Is there a way that we could raise that for some reason to maybe cities in the mainland that take our fine HPD away from us and other people?
You talking about retention? Or you talking about what we currently pay our police? I want to understand the question.
Yes, I'm talking about keeping our policemen in the island from not getting recruited to other states because they get offered way more money.
Well, who wants to, Andy, you want to address it, Chief? We're actually much more competitive with the cities that used to come in here and recruit police away as far as what we're paying. You want, which one do you Chief would be better.
So we lose probably sometimes around 10 officers that might go to the mainland because they think the grass is greener, the pay is better. In Honolulu, the pay is well, but I agree with you. Our officers need to be paid more, like our teachers, like our firefighters, like many of the first responders, and really a lot of our city and state employees. So I agree with you on that. And so how do we do that, and what ways can we do that? We're doing a whole bunch of recruiting opportunities to get more people in the department. We're also looking at incentive and referral bonuses for those that are in the department that are giving names and people that want to join HPD or want to stay a little longer. So we're working through all that. Right now the union is working through contract negotiations for a higher paying budget or for higher salaries for our police department, as well as all the other union members. And so those things are ongoing now. But I agree with you. Thank you for that. Yeah, our officers need to be paid a little bit better. But we are very competitive along to the other major cities that are like us.
And we've come along, let me just say something. We've come a long way
Yes.
in the last 4 years, okay? And we're in negotiations right now on a new contract that's really pretty significant, okay? And the numbers compound out at numbers that a lot of people would like to see elsewhere. So in the spirit of it's real, we've taken some big strides forward because we recognize exactly what you're asking. We also recognize what it takes to live here. And not only that, what it takes to put a gun on your hip every day and walk out the door. I have a profound respect for that. And so we're doing the best we can.
So those people that are leaving because they think the grass is greener, I get a couple of those back every year too. So they don't always think it's always better. And then we're also trying to recruit in places like Vegas and other cities for the local people that are up there that want to come home. So how do we do that? And so we're working through all of that to get those people back.
Thank you. Thanks for the question.
my
We're going to have to
second
wrap it up.
question.
Hey, Bill, all those guys that come back are from San Jose, just so you know. We have exactly 2 minutes left, so it just gives me time enough. We have to wrap it up. I'll stay, we'll talk to you afterwards. Just want to thank you all. It's been a terrific audience. Say it again, proud of my team. I'm proud of all of you for caring enough about your community to come out tonight, spend a couple of hours with us. I promise you this, on the record, everybody in here we said we'd follow up with, we will. That's been our track record for the last couple of years. We will follow up. We'll do the best we can for you. Thank you very much. God bless everybody.